Hello, friends. Welcome to Born to Be All of Me, the podcast. I am your host, Amber Sousa, and today I am extra excited because I am talking to someone who loves the things that I love the most: dancing and music and being a part of alcohol-free events. So I'm like, okay, sign me up. So today we have Rachel Molenda. And I am going to go ahead and read your bio and then we're going to dive in because I know just from the little bit that I have experienced you through Instagram and through other platforms that you are an inspiration. I can already feel that. And I don't know what the weather's like in Toronto where you are, but today it's kind of cloudy and overcast and I was just feeling a little like, and then I thought, yeah, but I get to talk to Rachel today and we get to talk about dancing and music. And I just know that's going to light me up. So,
Hell yeah.
yeah. All right. So, I'm going to go ahead and read the bio and we will dive in. Rachel Molenda is a sacred DJ and mindset coach, like Diplo and Tony Robbins if they had a baby. And she's the founder of Reunion, an all women's alcohol free dance party. Rachel is loved for her authenticity, vulnerability, and contagious energy. Rachel uses music, dance, mindset strategies, and in person experiences to help people remember their power and catapult them into doing the damn thing they were born to do. Oh, I love it so much. I mean, literally, that's exactly what this podcast is all about. Born to be all of me. Like, let's do the damn thing that we were born to do,
Yes. Yes.
right? And this is what you are doing. So I want to go back to little Rachel. I
Hmm.
want to hear about her. And then I really want to hear about the shift that happened for you in December of 2022. Because I know that you had a business as an
Mhm.
emotional eating coach,
Mhm.
and that wasn't where you wanted it to be, but that kind of moved you in the direction that you're at right now, which is doing the damn thing that you were born to do. So take me back
Mm.
to little Rachel and let's just dive in.
Okay. Well, thanks for having me. This is probably the perfect podcast I could be on because I am just such a believer and like I actually think it is my mission here on this earth during this time to help people to be who they truly are. And that has become more and more clear of like why that matters. Like it's like the only thing we really have to do is be who we are and all of the rest will follow. And it is the hardest thing you will ever do and the thing that is most worth it. But we'll talk about the journey of that. So I'm glad you asked about little Rachel because well, I imagine you know that when we're talking about being born to be who we are most connected to who we really are as a child. And as a child, I loved to dance. I loved to sing. I loved to put on little shows for my family. And throughout high school, I did musical theater. I was always performing and I loved it. And then I went to school for theater actually. And then I remember actually my first day of acting school, my prof was like, if you came here to be the next best thing, you can walk out right now. And I was like, well, that's me. See you later. I still don't know
Yeah.
really why she said that. Maybe like to strip our ego, whatever. But anyway, after that, I was like, I don't know if I want to be a starving artist. So I'm going to go be like my mom and like go into marketing and do something that makes sense. And I did that for a year. And I was 22 at the time. And I just remember like being on the train going to work and everyone's head bobbing. Everyone looks miserable. And I just looked around and I was like, no, 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 no. I just had this feeling that there was something more. I didn't have any proof of it, but I was like, this can't be it. And so I did that for a year. Um, went into nutrition after. That's kind of another tangent, but went into nutrition and then food and body image coaching and then mindset coaching, yada, yada. And then 2 years ago, in my early 30s, I started going to raves. I was 31 at the time.
Okay.
And I left this rave feeling so inspired and so alive and so myself. And I would keep going to these raves. I would get all these business ideas, but I also had so much shame around it. I was like, what am I doing at 31 raving, wearing sparkles and fluorescent colors when everyone else is having kids and buying homes. But I just couldn't deny like how powerful it was, how I would remember who I was when I was in these environments. And so it was actually this past December, so December 2023, where I guess a few months prior, I kind of got curious about DJing, and I didn't grow up wanting to be a DJ, but I loved music. I always loved music, but I never saw myself as someone working in music because I was like, oh, music people, they have to know the names of albums and they have to spend all their time collecting vinyls. Like they got to be like music people, and I wasn't. I just got music and I loved it, but I wasn't. I didn't fit that stereotype. And then, but I loved the idea of DJing and being the curator of these experiences where I could help people to feel how alive I felt on the other side of it. So I mentioned this to a friend and he's like, well, I have a controller, a DJ controller you can borrow. I'm like, sweet. So he gave it to me. I might have touched it once and then didn't really touch it for 3 months. And then he's like, hey, Rach, it's December now, early December. He goes, hey, Rach, can I get the controller back? And I was like, fuck, I haven't even touched it yet. And I was like, just give me another week. Like, I just want to I'll find one. And he's like, well, you can buy mine from me if you want. I was like, oh, okay. So I paid $200, bought the controller off of him. Then I was like, okay. In the mindset world, it said that your likelihood of doing something goes from 10% to 90% when you tell someone and when you put a date to it.
Yeah.
So on Christmas Day last year, I was getting a lot of requests over the past few months prior to that. But can you throw a dance party? Can you throw a dance party? Because I do these morning dances on Instagram and people like, they love them. So like, can you throw a dance party? I'm like, okay, we're going to throw a dance party. And to force myself to learn how to DJ, I'm going to DJ it. So then the next month, I basically went into a washing machine of being like, holy crap, like learning everything. Any spare time I had, I was just like diving into it. And we did that first dance party. It was a total banger. It was like everyone loved it. And then the next day I was like, do you guys want to do that again? They're like, yeah. And so I posted a sales page and it sold out in like less than 24 hours. And I was like, okay. And we really haven't stopped since. It's now October. They basically sell it in Toronto every month. We took it on tour this summer to some surrounding areas in Toronto, and we took it out of province. And it's just proving what I knew to be true, that music and dance is the medicine. And that when we remember who we are, we cultivate the courage, the confidence, and the clarity to do the thing that we were born to do.
Oh my God, there's so many things that you said that are gems, just absolute gems. Um, Number one, I want to say when you said environments that help me remember who I am, environments that make me remember who I am, that I feel the most like me. And that for you was a rave. But then you had these stories that were like, that's, I'm 31. I should be doing all these other things. This is not right. The thing I should be doing. And yet it was the place that made you feel the most like you. I think that for our listeners, that is something, really take that in, right? Like it does not matter what anyone else is doing. If where you're at and what you're experiencing does not make you feel the most like you, it's probably not the place for you.
Yeah.
Right. The other thing that I love so much is one of the first things I ask when I start working with women one-on-one is, what did you love to do when you were a little girl?
Mm.
And so I love that your story is similar to mine, very similar, right? I grew up performing to my parents' mirrored closet doors, the pretend audience of thousands, right? I grew up as a performer, dancer, actor, singer, loved it. Musical theater, right? When I was 12, I got the lead Daisy May and Little Lab. I mean, I know that feeling of feeling like that's what I was born to do. I also think it's really powerful to just talk about how sometimes we have visions and dreams for our life using our gifts. And when those don't pan out in the way that we think they're supposed to pan out, we think, oh, well, I guess that it's not meant to be. Right. And then we go and do something else more practical, like marketing, or in my case, fitness, which I love fitness, but But then what happens is we come back around like you did, like I am doing, and I get to marry my gifts, my talents, the thing that makes me feel the most like me. And I marry that with all the wisdom that I've gained from being on this healing journey for the past 10 years. And then I go, oh, now I get to blend this into why I'm here. And I go, oh, that's why I didn't become a famous movie star at 16, because there was more for me to do. And, it gives me chills just saying that. So, um, take me to that place. I read your post on Instagram when your emotional eating business was not doing what you thought it was supposed to be doing. And then you felt called to work with Sarah Jenks, who I love. I love the work she does. I love everything about her. My friend Sonnet is the one who sent me your Instagram profile. She's like, you need to talk to this gal. A, she's DJing for Sarah, and B, she's doing alcohol-free dance parties. Like this is, So take me back to that point. That was a crossroads for you.
Yeah. So I don't remember what year that was now.
2022 December
Was
is
it
what I read on your post.
That was the Sarah Jenks moment. 23. Yeah, that was the Sarah Jenks moment.
Okay.
So I ended my intuitive eating coaching business. Must have been 2021. Must have been May of 2021.
Okay.
It was thriving. I had a 6-figure business. I had this signature program, Intuitive Way for Eating. I'd run it every quarter, filled it up. It's changing lives. I had a podcast, the Fill Your Cup podcast, had like 300,000 downloads at the time. It was like rocking it.
Okay.
And then I just had a point where I was chatting with my podcast manager and I was like, we can put out one more episode and then I need a break. And then she's like, well, we don't have to announce when you're coming back. And I was like, oh, what if we don't come back? And I noticed I was excited by that. And I was just reaching a point myself where I was starting to feel like there was more, because I was getting these women to the other side of this thing that plagued their life for so long. And they were like, oh my God, I have so much space in my mind now that I'm not thinking about food and calories in my body 24/7. I want to think about what I want to do with my life. And I was like, yeah, I want to help you with that. And I think too, I didn't mention this, but from the age of 13 to around 25, I had my own history with disordered eating. Like it dominated most of my life. So I'm so grateful for that career as well. Like there's no mistakes in the path that we take, because I healed so much of myself. And I think at that point I was like, all right, I'm healed. I'm like, I can grab the remaining fat of my body, be like, look, I have fat on my body and I don't give a crap. I do not give a crap. I've neutralized it so much. And so after that, I started studying mindset, and that quickly changed my life, yada, yada. But I was still at this point where I was like, I feel like there's something else. Like, I don't know what I'm supposed to do, but I just know I'm made for more. And it was December now of 2022. And I had like pretty much no money left. I'd spent a lot, I've invested a lot on personal development, and I was kind of just like busting out little programs and coaching things to kind of keep me afloat, which like, thank you that it did, but it like something wasn't working. And I started to get the call to work with Sarah. I saw she was promoting her high level mastermind called the Council. And it was like 15K USD, which is close to 20 grand Canadian for us Canadians. And I looked at that and I was like, frick, I really want to do this. And I sat down with my dad and I was like, it's funny because my dad has an entrepreneurial background as well. So he gets this stuff. Like I've cried to him so many times, like, I don't know if I can do this. He's like, Rach, this is just part of it. It's just the ups and downs. And he was the one that was like, you feel like this is going to be the thing? And I was like, I think so. And so we pulled the money out of my TFSA, my tax-free savings account, and I signed up for the council and did it for the next 4 months. And for the next 4 months, essentially working with Sarah Jenks, essentially spending my days working with her in ceremony. So both virtually, and then we went to Tulum together, spending our days in sacred feminine ceremony, essentially connecting to my truest self. And I will say I didn't walk out of there being like, that's it, I'm going to be a DJ in reunion, because that was not really a thing yet. But in hindsight, what I walked away with was this huge permission slip to be who I really am and to feel the truth of who I am. Like I'll never forget a day in ceremony in Tulum. We're all sitting around, there's like 8 of us. And she's just in her medicine at that point. She looks at me, she's like, I have not seen you all week. Where are you? And I was like crying. I was like, I know. Where, like, why am I playing fucking small? And she's like, it's time to rise up. And I was like, okay. And she's like, stand up. And so I start standing up on my own. And she's like, no, let your sisters help you. And so all of my council sisters surrounded me. And I swear, like, one person was like holding my finger, one was like holding my ear. I'm exaggerating, but like I had 8 women holding me up. And then all of a sudden I shot up and I felt like I was 10 feet tall, like a baby deer. And I was like wobbling. And the whole room was we all busted into tears. And I felt like in my power, my energy. And we're all like, holy shit. And she was like, there you are. And I'll never forget that feeling. The theater major in me has to.
I love it. I love it.
And then
For those of you who are not watching the video version of this, Rachel,
you're missing out.
Yes,
You're missing
there
out.
will be a video version that needs to be seen. Yes.
Yes. So over the next year, I kept raving, kept doing my thing, started to be more of who I am, started wearing like weird clothes and like owning it. And then last December went full send into DJing and reunion. So now I'm in my flow. I'm like really feeling like me. And then I get the DM from Kelly, Sarah's business partner, in March saying, DJ Ray, it's time. Do you want to DJ Emerge, which is her 150 person retreat? And I was just like, holy crap. Like, what a full circle moment. Like, that I hired her to be like, help me figure out who I am. And then I got to DJ this retreat. And it was the easiest thing ever in that, like, I just felt like I was being myself. Like I did it. I was like in my medicine and doing my thing. And I could just see the looks on the women's faces after being like, wow. And I have this on video as well. I can link this reel. Yeah. Someone captured Sarah saying to me after, just saying like, Rachel fucking Molenda. And she finishes just saying like, thank you so much for being yourself. And that was a huge takeaway for me that weekend, because I used to have Sarah on a pedestal. I was like, oh my God, Sarah's like the Tony Robbins of the world, all those things. Like, she's so far away. But yet I always looked at her and I was like, gosh, we have a lot in common. And she used to look at me and say, she's like, you and I have similar woundings and stories. And this time I looked at her and I was able to take her off the pedestal, and I was just like, wow, like you shine because you're just being you. Yeah. And now I shine because I'm just being me. Right. And it's like what you said earlier about being in the environments that bring you to life. We keep ourselves from feeling that because we are so fixated on fitting in, which I know it makes total sense. It is, like Sarah says this too in her work, it's like, it is the most terrifying thing to be who you really are. People are going to talk about you. You are going to stand out. But what they don't tell you is that on the other side, when you are fully content and alive, feel alive being yourself, you won't give a shit about any of that. Right. No one, like, I feel more me than I ever have in my life. And I wake up and I'm like, life is amazing. I love who I am. I love how weird I am. I love it all. Mm. And it's fucking magnetic. Yeah. It's like that. I think that's been most surprising, and also not. It's just like when it's just like, you just got to be yourself. And then people are like, how do I work with you? How do I hire you? Blah, blah, blah. It's like, can I date? Want to go on a date? Like, it's like, oh my gosh.
Oh my goodness. I relate so deeply to every single thing that you're saying. And I have children. I have a daughter who's almost 12 and a son who's almost 10. And they really inspire me because I don't want them to have to go through what I went through as a young person, dimming my light and playing small because I so desperately wanted to fit in, and I was afraid of what standing out would mean. And I don't know if you ever had an experience, but I've told this story before. When I was 12, I got the lead in my first musical, and I was Daisy May and Lil Labner, and it was really one of the most magical experiences of my life. Like, I know in that moment on that stage, lights on my face, singing my heart out, I was me. I was me. The next year, same program, I got the lead again. And there were some moms that complained to the director that I had gotten the lead again. And that was one of those, we all have an experience or several experiences where us standing out, we experience some form of rejection. And it's devastating, especially when you're a young person. It's absolutely soul crushing to be who you were born to be and then to be rejected for it. And because we are so wired to need to belong in order to feel safe and loved and cared for, I spent my life adapting to fit in, so that I wouldn't stand out. And now at almost 50 years old, I'm finally going to myself, well, fuck, I was born to stand out. Like, when I am being all of me, I do stand out. And that is something that I could not have said out loud before, because I would have been so afraid that people would have judged me for saying that. Like, oh, well, look at her. She's so full of herself. But the truth is that this is who I am, right? This is who you are. I want to go back, if you are open to it, because for me, part of my journey and the reason why I'm alcohol free now is because as a young person, I did deal with addiction, and I went to rehab for drugs at 19. That was part of me dimming my light. And for you, it sounds like you had some it led you to an emotional eating, be supporting other people in that. And I know that we always tend to support people in the areas of our lives that we've experienced the most healing. Will you take me back and share what you have discovered on your journey about why little Rachel went down that path in the first
Yeah.
place?
Yeah. It's funny. I never thought of my eating disorder as being tied to not fully being expressed. Like, I've done a lot of therapy on it. And so what I know to be true about it today is that I wanted my dad's love. Dad wasn't always around. Dad was often on the golf course. To get an I love you out of dad was like, please. If I got like the ounce of affection, I'd be like, yes, oh my gosh. So I think there's part of like just wanting to be chosen. And I've talked to my dad about this openly. On my podcast, we did an episode about it, so he could listen to this and hear all that. We have a great relationship now. I know he loves me in his own way. But there was probably part of that too, where I mean, there's a sense of control. There's wanting to fit in. I was also like, I am tall. I'm 5'11", and so in school, I was always. It's funny. It kind of gave me a cool factor. I didn't get picked on because it was like, oh, you're so tall, and I'm a twin. I had like cool, like interesting things about me. Oh, you're tall and you're a twin. But I always felt like out of place. I always felt like too big, and so I just want to shrink. Um, in my weight, in my body. I got a breast reduction when I was 18, which in hindsight, I'm like, did I really need that? Or did I just want to hide myself even more? Um, so yeah, I'm sure like there's part of it where it's like I even see it manifest um now in certain moments when things are out of alignment. I don't emotionally eat anymore, but I'll scroll. I'll scroll my phone. Or at one point it was like dating to fill voids because I just felt so empty. So we're never entirely free of these things, but I don't see them as like I don't see myself as an addict to scrolling or an addict to dating. I'm just like, oh, I'm just coping because something's feeling funky here right now. And at one point eating was my escape to it. At one point controlling how my body looked was my escape. And so now I look at when I try to escape and I'm like, okay, what's that? Like, what do I got to look at here? Right.
Right.
And the more you do get into alignment, the more things feel good, but we're also still human. Like right now I'm flying high these days. Like I haven't felt this alive and connected to my purpose and excited to work in like over 2 years. Um, and so I'm like enjoying it. And then I'm like, oh man, I know it's going to go down again and I'm scared, but like, it's all just part of it. It's all just part of it.
Yeah, it is. It's the human experience, the ebbs
Mhm.
and flows and the waves. I was just talking to somebody yesterday about that. Like, sometimes the ocean is calm and the waves are small, and then sometimes the ocean's, tumultuous and the waves are big and seem angry, and that's like life, right? Sometimes we ride the waves and we ride the emotions, and but
Yeah.
really taking in everything that you're experiencing right now and the manifestations of you saying yes. I mean, I think that's another thing that I want to really make sure that the listeners hear and get is when you met Sarah,
Hmm.
there was something in you that felt called to
Hmm.
work with her.
Yeah.
And then you saw the number, the amount,
Hmm.
right? A lot of people feel called to do something, to create something, to experience something. And then whether it's a dollar amount or a limiting belief, whatever it is, they talk themselves out of it.
Hmm.
And I'm like you, I just keep saying yes to the next thing and figure it out as I go. What advice would you give to somebody who is maybe feeling really called to an experience and yet they feel like, there's many reasons why they shouldn't do that?
Yeah. I think just like trusting the call, trust that you have the desires that you do for a reason. Not everyone has the desires that you do. Not everyone has the interests, the talents, the skills, the passions that you do. And I think that's sometimes something that we often overlook because even me being so in love with music and dance and all of it, I'm like, oh my, isn't everyone just into this? Because like this is amazing. But it's like, no, you have this for a reason. You get lit up by music in the way that you do for a reason because you are meant to be the curator of these experiences, right? So same with like whether you're looking for some sort of like training or coaching, if you're curious, like it's like pay attention to that.
Mhm.
And I mean, prior to that, I had already had experience investing $10,000 at a time in mindset coaching. So it wasn't my first time making that investment, but the first time I ever did that, first time I put down 10 grand straight for mindset coaching, I want to throw up. I was
Mhm.
like, ugh. But there was just something in me that I was like, I got to do it.
Yeah.
And now I know that I can trust that. I'm not like throwing money away left, right, and center in that not away, but I did go through a period after where I was like, okay, now I'm in my self-trust era. I'm gonna be my own coach for a bit. And but now I invest like when I'm drawn to something, like I'll find a way.
Right.
And the more you lean into these things too, I even think of this like when I'm like getting things from my home, like this or like clothing. Sometimes I'm like, oh, I don't need that. But then I'm like, well, what's the cost of having to trying to give an example of this. Like, okay, so this is a newer place that I'm in. This apartment, as you can see, I have like pictures on this side and not on this side. I'm like slowly working on it. I feel like there's so many projects. I'm like, I got my DJing reunion and then my home project. And the cost of not having something on the wall here or like my closet, like I need another organizer in there. It's driving me crazy that's not there. There's a cost to that struggle every time. So when I invest in something, when I'm choosing to invest in something, I'm like, how will this actually bring more ease and flow to my life? So when I'm interacting with it, it just flows rather than engaging with it. And like our environment's always talking to us. This is
Mhm.
why like when I did like coaching in the past, I would say, if you're trying to upgrade your beliefs, look at your environment because your environment is reflecting messages back at you. If you are like, I'm a multi 6 figure, 7 figure girl boss babe, but you got holes in your socks or underwear that should have been thrown out 5 years ago, it's going to be really hard to upgrade that, to hold that belief.
Mm.
So create the environment to support the thoughts that follow it. Invest in the things to support the thoughts that follow it.
Interesting. And so, with that mindset, you have been able to experience a pretty high return on your investment. You are experiencing in your life,
Yeah.
right? Invitations like from Sarah to DJ that huge party.
Yeah.
So that is a high return on your investment in investing in yourself and investing
Totally.
in saying yes to what you felt called to. And I think it's important to also share that it doesn't happen immediately. Like you invested in that work, and then the call from her came how much time
A year.
passed?
A
A
year later.
year, right.
Yeah.
So, how do you this is another question I think is important, and how do you hold your faith and your vision in the times in between when it doesn't seem like there is a return on the investment, right? Like when you're looking around and you're going, gosh, I've been putting in the work, I'm doing all the things, like, doesn't really feel like anything's happening. What are your practices
Mm.
that you go to that help you hold that vision, stay in that place of belief in yourself and in who you are here to be?
Yeah. I think just bringing the focus back to you, like doing the things that keep you in your essence. So
Mm.
almost like, okay, like claiming that you want it and then like fully letting it go. So for example, like I have I've a few proposals on the go for next year, people that have reached out for like big gigs, and I'm like, I want these gigs, but I also can't like grasp, right? So I'm like, okay, yeah, there's part of me that wants to follow up and be like, did you decide yet? Like, am I the girl? But there's nothing like that's doesn't do anything. What will actually serve me better is if I just continue to stay in my juicy sort of flow
Mm.
and this energy. So I'm focusing on just continuing to DJ, to take opportunities like local opportunities to DJ, doing reunion. All of that keeps me in this like high vibration. And then I forget about those things and then it shows up and I'm like, oh yeah, I completely forgot about those things. Right. So the more you can just bring the focus back to you. And this goes for, I've actually learned a lot about or applied this concept to dating. Because in the
Okay.
past with dating, I would be a little graspy following up, like, did you decide where we want, like, what time are we meeting tomorrow? Like all these things. It's like they're either interested or they're not, right? Like just like be in the receiving mode. And in the meantime, like while these guys are doing their thing, just like be in your world. Make your life so delicious. Fall deeply in love with yourself. Become your own best friend. The more you focus on, like, just stay focused on you. I know that sounds really cliche to say, but that's what's coming out of me right now. Just stay focused on you.
Absolutely. I 100% agree with you. And I think also what I have discovered for myself is when I'm in those places where I'm feeling a lack or I'm feeling a sense of discontent,
Mm.
and I think that this thing is going to be the thing that's going to fix that.
Mhm.
Really, what helps me is diving more deeply into the things that light me up,
Yeah.
because that's what it is. I think that's what we're searching for. We're searching
Mhm.
for, the experience of feeling the most alive, the most fully expressed, right? So I love that so much. Like, yes, take action. Yes, send the email, do the thing, right? Follow up, and then detach, let go, and then just focus on the next thing that lights you up.
That that's it.
That's it.
But yeah. Yeah. And yeah, whether it's your like your actual work or medium. So like for me, like staying in the energy of DJing or just like staying in the energy of the things that bring you to life. Just focus on that. On Saturday night, I finished a gig and they were handing out a bunch of pizza at the end, and there was not a lot of people took pizza. So they were like, Rach, do you want a whole pizza? And I was like, well, not really. Like I'm kind of kicking gluten and dairy right now. And but I was like, I felt called to take it. And I was like, I'll find someone to give it to. And there's a festival happening here in Toronto called Nuit Blanche, where like it's like almost like Burning Man, like where they have all these art installations around the city. And I knew I wanted to go for a bit, so I was like, I'm gonna go to Nuit Blanche and check it out and hand out pizza. And I did this whole thing where like it was like 12:30 at night. I was on my own, and I went up to people and I was like, free pizza. And I was like, anyone, like, I was like, I'll give you a slice of pizza for like a free piece of life advice. And I documented the whole thing and I met so many people and I drove home at 2 a.m. and I was like, I feel so alive. I feel so, I felt so connected to source at that time too. I was just getting these messages of like, I forget what the message was, but it was like it just kept coming through and I felt high almost. Like I was like, I like this is living, this is living, this is how good, like it gets even better. Like
Mm.
just do the things that bring you to life. Go hand out pizza to strangers.
Yeah, and be in the moment. Like
Yeah.
it sounds like in that moment when that person offered you the pizza, you were present. You were
Mm.
present and open. And then all of a sudden you got the download like, hey, how about this idea? And then it just poured through you to turn it into this whole experience.
Yeah.
Like, that's so beautiful. That's also a message of how I wrote a book. It came out this year, and my first chapter is called Awe and Wonder. And
Mm.
it's about my, when I was a kid, I had such awe and wonder about life. Like I was so excited about things that, might seem like no big deal today as an adult. And I want to get back to that. And so that you, by saying yes and by being open and being connected to your authentic self, you were able to have this experience that gave you a sense of awe and wonder. And like, we can do that at any given moment. Like, you turned what could have felt like, oh, it's pizza, it's extra pizza, into this like magical experience of awe and wonder and connection. Like you went out and you connected with people in a really meaningful way. And I'm sure they all went home too, being touched by that magic.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I think that's another message that I'm receiving from you that is important to share with the listeners. It doesn't necessarily have to be this big, huge thing. Like we can find magic in any given moment.
Yeah. Yeah. Put down your phone, smile at someone when you're ordering coffee, see if it turns into an interaction. Like it's everywhere. It's
Yeah.
everywhere when we're just present to it, when we turn off autopilot. I often say this at the beginning of my dance parties. I say, we don't remember who we are by going down the same path every single day. You remember who you are when you choose to go left, when you usually go right. You remember who you are when you go hand out pizza to strangers on a Saturday night, even though you're tired and like don't really want to. Like I didn't actually want to. I was actually I was nervous. I'm like, this is like, I was judging myself. What am I doing as a grown ass woman going to hand out pizza right now? But there's a pull, and I was like, hey, I trust the pull, trust the pull. Like, I'll overcome myself to do this. So yeah, like I'm such a big believer in getting into situations that are unfamiliar because it's like how Joe Dispenza says, breaking the habit of being yourself. Who we've become is so much of what we're exposed to, and especially what we're exposed to as kids and those stories that we're playing on loop. But who we really are is underneath all those masks. And we find that when we step into the unknown, when we dare to play in uncertainty, take off the control and just let yourself be surprised.
I love that. I love that. I want to know how and why did your reunion dance parties turn into an alcohol-free women's event?
Mm,
What's that all
okay.
about?
The real truth is when I first did it, I was like, I don't want to get a liquor license. So I was like, no alcohol.
Okay.
Um, and then it turned into just the fact that like I want people to experience the drug of music and dance alone.
Yeah.
So I'm actually not entirely alcohol free myself. I'm not pumped on alcohol these days. Like I definitely drank in my 20s and now I'll have a couple glasses of wine. I'm like, and wake up like depressed the next day. I'm like, this stuff is poison.
Right.
So I wouldn't be surprised if in years I am, but I'm not personally fully alcohol free, but the dance parties are, and they will stay that way. Because I want people to experience what happens when you drop into your body, when you turn off your mind, when you don't have any substances to help you to let loose or anything like that. Because the music and the letting yourself explore in your body is what will give you, I mean, that feeling, because that feeling is actually dimming your light. It will actually give you that aliveness that you crave with a substance.
Yeah, I love that.
Mhm.
I teach an empowered dance class um, every Tuesday and Friday at 9 a.m. And I create an environment. Sounds like this is what you do too. You create an environment because of your connection to your soul and the freedom that you experience by using your gifts through music and through movement. So, this is the environment that you create and you invite the women that are at the event into.
Mm.
And I do that too. So, I appreciate how high that makes me feel. Right.
Mhm.
And I know, you know, these women come to my class and oftentimes they're intimidated because they're like, oh, I'm not a dancer. I don't know. Like, and I'll even have people say, like, yeah, maybe after a few drinks. And I'm like, well, it's Tuesday at 9 a.m. So we're here. And
Yeah.
but because of the freedom that I'm experiencing and giving them permission to step into, they leave having had almost like this spiritual experience. And it feels like when I was watching some of the videos of your events that it is a spiritual experience. Like
Mhm.
the Sarah Jenks event, I mean, watching these women, and I was watching going, I know, that your events are alcohol free. So I know that these women are not under the influence of alcohol, and yet they are tapped into something, right? They are high on something.
Yeah,
They are fully expressed. They are alive. They are feeling their sexuality and sensuality as women. I also think too, when I watch you dance, I know what you're feeling because I feel it. You are free, you are in it. And that is, as women, that's who we are. That's our life force energy. So
Mhm.
you are also giving this gift to all these women who come to your events, this gift of connecting to their greatest life force energy, their sensuality, their sexuality, their freedom of expression, their sense of play. I think like as grown-ups, I'll tell you a quick story. You'll appreciate this. I used to have a studio. I gave it up. So I rent space at my daughter's dance studio. And during the summer, there were summer camps for the kids, the girls. And I was still there. I was teaching. And when they would come on a break, they would line up and they would stare through the windows and watch this group of, like 20 moms. And they were fascinated because I think that not enough grown-ups are playing, right? So these kids were like, oh my God, these women are having an experience that I don't really see my mom having all the time. Like, this is cool, right? So I think you're also creating an environment of play.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Such a beautiful example. I actually went to a festival, music wellness festival this summer called Camp Summer Days, just here in
Mm.
Ontario. And kids are welcome as well. And so my friend came and she brought her kids. And one of her kids said to her, she's like, Mama, everyone looks like they're having so much fun and they're just wearing whatever they want. And it's like, yes. And that's why I'm like such a believer of festivals too. Like, yes, festivals are there. People just think like, even when I go out, like I'll go to shows, and if you looked at it from the outside, you'd be like, "Oh, she just parties all the time." I
Mm.
never feel like I'm going to a party. Even
Mhm.
when I go to a festival, I don't feel like I'm going to party. I'm like, "No, I'm going to remember." Like when I'm in my funkiest state, I'm like, "Okay, I got to hit a show. I just got to go, shake this stuff out and remember." But it's that play, that sense of play.
Right before I got on this call with you, I was telling you it was, it's kind of cloudy, it's kind of foggy. I wasn't feeling in my full self. And you know what? I put on music and I danced here in my living room by myself. And that's what it does for me. It brings me back into, oh, yeah, here I
Yeah.
am.
Yeah.
Oh, I get to have a conversation with somebody about being who we were born to be. Yeah. Okay. I got this. This is what it's all about. This is what life is all about.
Mhm.
Right.
Yeah.
So you are now living the manifestations, right? The seeds have been planted. And now it's like really, really happening. What are you the most excited about? And then also like, if, you hear the people say like, dream big, like dare to dream. Like, what's your wildest, most incredible, biggest dream that you see unfolding for you?
Mm. So I'm most excited about this journey of feeling more and more like me. Because again, I haven't felt this like me ever. And to experience and to have that so closely tied to my work and realizing that actually the more me I am, the more my work succeeds.
Mm-hmm.
And actually, this is interesting. I went into the Sarah Jenks retreat because I also participated in it. And a lot of it's about emerging who you truly are. Last time I worked with Sarah, I was like, what do I do with my life? I'm like, okay, I know what I'm doing with my life now. So like, what do I want to get out of this weekend? And my intention was to amplify the vision of what I'm already doing. And I was thinking what would come through is like the strategy of like, okay, how do I take these 100-person dance parties and make them 200 and 500 and thousands? And I'll tell you my big dream shortly.
Yeah.
And then immediately on like after the first ceremony, I was like, oh, it's not about the strategy. The work is to just be more and more and more and more of who you are. And I was like, okay. So I'm excited for that journey to
Okay.
just be more of who I am. Like I'm ready to let my freak flag
Yeah.
fly. It's actually really cool. I went on a date on
So
Sunday
good.
night with this man, and it was our second date. And on the first date, I was saying how like dating has been challenging at times because I feel like I'm big energy and a lot of men can't handle it. And he's like, well, that's because you've been dating boys and not men. And then on our second date, I said to him, I said, thank you for letting me be in my bigness and for not being afraid of it. And I said, I used to like tone myself down and try to be palatable because I just so badly want to be chosen. And I just realized that like I can't do that. Like Rachel Molenda is here to do big epic shit and she's here to shine. And
Yeah.
so either like come along with me or I'm going on my own cuz like I'm going. And he said the most beautiful thing. He's like I need you to be in your bigness like for you and for me. And I was like,
Uh, I like him.
last
When's the third date? I like this guy.
next Monday. I'll report back.
Please do.
Yeah.
Oh, God,
Yeah,
that's
and then
so good.
so yeah, I'm really excited to like continue to create from this place and see how it can be more of me and help people to be more of themselves. And then the big dream is to tour this all around the world. So for it to be like a traveling dance party
Oh,
and
love it.
to fill stadiums. So I forget what the LA, I don't know, Hollywood
Hollywood
Bowl?
Bowl.
Yeah,
Yeah.
like Hollywood Bowl, um, Staples Center. Yeah, it's
Yeah.
Staples Center, like right downtown. In Toronto, like Scotiabank Arena. Like I want to
Okay.
fill stadiums
Oh,
and have like a almost like people are going to a concert, but now they're going to a experience of remembering like all like thousands of women dancing to the remembering of who they are.
mm.
I also have a big dream to turn this into a festival, so create like Burning Man but Burning Woman.
Woo!
And yeah, so
I'm there
like
for it.
yeah, like a three day to start 3-day festival of just like all women, music, wellness, dance, workshops during the day, run around naked if you want, just like really be in your juicy feminine energy. So that's where we're starting, but maybe the dream will grow even more as time goes on.
Yeah. Oh, I love it. I think that's really important. That's something that I also like get excited about the vision and then
Mhm.
also leave room for the magic that the universe wants to like that we can't even see yet,
Yeah,
right? Like
yeah,
leave room for that.
yeah.
Okay, I have to just repeat this because I really want people to get what you just said. So often we think, what's the strategy? What do I need to do? Your answer, be more and more and more of you. That's the strategy. Like when in doubt, how do I be more of me? That's it. It's so simple.
Right.
It's not what we've been conditioned to believe is the way to achieve success, right? But oftentimes the success, quote unquote, that people are trying to achieve is not what we're really, really wanting. We're wanting to feel the most like who we are, who our soul came here to be, and to express the divine through us, and to continue to expand and continue to grow and to experience the awe and wonder and magic every single day. I love it. I love it so much. Okay. Where can people find you? When are you coming to LA? How can I be a part of this? How can I help make this happen?
Oh, I would love that. Yeah, we've gotten a lot of requests to come to LA. So
Okay.
it's just a matter of time. It's not if, it's just when. So we
Okay.
will come to LA. I'm at Rachel M. Molenda on Instagram and my website, rachelmmolenda.com. And then Reunion can be found on Instagram, The Reunion Dance Party. And then also the reuniondanceparty.com has a list of our upcoming dates. So you can find out about everything over there.
Amazing. Oh, you're such a joy. You're so amazing. Your energy is so like infectious. I can imagine when I was younger, I would go to raves sometimes and I would plant myself right next to the speaker because I wanted to feel the vibration of the
Yeah.
music in my body. And when I watch videos of you DJing, I can see that like you have that same like just feeling the
It's
vibration.
Yeah, I don't even know what I'm doing. I just let it go and I'm like, holy shit.
Yeah.
I'm just in it. And actually, I
Yeah.
just want to add that to something that you just said too, is that find out who you are because you're going to find out about the things that you care about. And the things that you care about are the things that you're excited about. And when you follow that excited energy and you're
Mhm.
so excited to talk about it, people just feel that. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter what you're talking about, what you're selling. If you're pumped about it, people are gonna be like, holy crap, how do I get some of that?
Yes.
That's it. Like I couldn't be as like about being an arborist right now. I'm looking at the tree in front of me. But there's people out there that are like, tell about this tree,
Right.
right? Follow the things that excite you. It's no mistake that you're excited about the things that you are.
I think that's a perfect place to end. It's
I think
no
so too.
mistake. It's no mistake that you are excited about the things you are excited about. That's it.
Yeah.
That's
Go
it.
do the damn thing.
Do the damn
Period.
thing you were born to do. Yes.
Boom.
Boom. All right, Rachel. It was so good to be with you. Thank you so
You
much for
too.
lighting me up this morning. I feel more alive than I did before our conversation. I feel more connected to my soul than I did before our conversation. I feel inspired to go do the damn thing. And, today my focus will be how can I just be more of who I am
Love that.
and find the awe and wonder in each moment
Yeah.
through that experience.
Yeah.
All right. Well, I'm going to put all of your information in the show notes so that people can find you, and you will let me know when you're coming to LA so that I can be a part of it, help promote it, come dance with you. I have to be in your energy. I have to dance when you are the DJ. It's it has to happen.
It's
All
gonna
right.
happen.
Thank you so much.
Thank
It
you,
was such a
Amber.
pleasure. All right. Thank you, friends. Until next time.